Man, I'm living aspiration, cutting off heads, I'm straight with decapitation.
What's up, everybody? We're back, back with another one. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. And today what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about the importance of having a plan, but my focus is going to be on financial planning. Even though in life it's just good to make sure that you have a plan, to make sure you're tracking where you need to get to. So, with today, why I decided to do this was because, I get a ton of questions, especially when people start to ask me about investing, stock market, how much should I put up, how much should I do this, what should I invest in, the story goes on. But a lot of these questions I can't just answer off the spot to someone. I can't just tell you how much you should be putting up, what funds you should get into. There's so many more details that are needed to figure out that question, and each person is an individual. Each one has their own unique thing to do. It's not a one fits all answer to how much to invest, what to invest in, how much should I save, how to da. It all depends on your own unique situation. And when we're talking about investing, it's important to have a plan because you need to make sure you know where you're trying to get to. And there's so many factors on where you're trying to get to that play a part. How old are you? What's your risk tolerance? How much do you earn? How much can you afford to lose? How much do you pay right now for rent or your mortgage? How much do you put here? How much do you put here? How much money is left over for you to invest in? How much return do you need given the age you're at and where you're trying to get to, depending on that age? If we're going to talk about, let's say, a retirement age, just to use that for an example of 65, how much do you need, estimated return to make sure that you can get to a certain amount that you need to retire with at 65? There's all of these different questions. So with that, what I want to say is that for you, if you're a DIY person, and DIY stands for do it yourself. I'm very much a do it yourself person. I love to figure out how to do things on my own, how to do this. I get joy from it. I make my own toothpaste. I do everything. But if you're that type of person who's going to be willing to do your own research, read some books, read articles online, ask for help, things like that, then you can try to do this yourself. If you're somebody, and this is the majority of people, especially when it comes to the financial industry, if you're not willing to sit there and spend months to years researching and learning what to do, how to plan, how to calculate, things like that, then you need to go reach out to a financial planner, and it's important. If you're a do-it-yourself person, you have to figure out questions to answer for yourself. Like I was saying, you have to use formulas to figure out how much do I need to save a year. And it's not just saving, because remember I did another video that you have inflation happening, and right now it's at about 3%, so you need to make sure your return is higher than inflation and at a rate that can get you to where you need to get to. So you would have to calculate how much do I need to save and invest, right? You need to just figure out your risk tolerance if you're a do-it-yourself person. How much can you afford to put up? Some people are more conservative. The more conservative you are, the lower the return, right? The more aggressive you are, the higher the return, but you also take on more risk. So you need to figure out where you are as a person, because that's also going to determine what kind of stocks or funds that you choose to do. Working with me, what I do is I stick to ETFs, and ETFs are exchange traded funds. And to keep it simple, you're not selecting an individual stock. What you're doing is, depending on the fund you choose, it follows a benchmark, and then it tries to get returns that equate to that benchmark. And to me, those are much better, because the average person, and I'm speaking to the do-it-yourselves and the people that need help, the average person cannot outperform the stock market. Majority of people can't, right? People are actually worse picking their own stocks in their own portfolio than if they would have just had it sit in, let's say, a fund that follows the S&P 500. You'll actually do better than majority of people. It's actually very rare to outperform the market. So what I do is Depending upon your risk tolerance and where we're trying to get to, I will pick funds for you and then go off of that way, because once again, it's much easier and it's a lot less complex trying to pick one stock, right? That's subject to all of these fluctuations in the price, whether the industry it's in, etc. When you can pick a fund that may have the best companies, the worst companies, it has everybody in there, and you get the average of it all instead of trying to select which ones are going to be winners. Because trust me, some people may hit here and there, but you're never going to consistently be able to do it. So that's one thing of being able to figure out your risk tolerance, because that also determines which funds you select. You have to figure out your budget based off of your salary. How much can you, off of figuring out how much you need to save, how much can you realistically afford to save yourself, depending upon where you're at with your salary. You have to figure out your rent. How much do you pay for your rent or your mortgage? How many expenses are you putting out here? How much is this? How much is that? Are you keeping enough to yourself that you can be able to reach this number that you're supposed to save? These are questions again, and this ties into, like I said in the beginning, more than just financial planning. This is about life, because you need to be able to track where you're going. So you have to figure out your budget. When it comes to finances, do you have accounts already? Right? Do you already have a pension plan with your employer? Do you already have your individual retirement accounts open? Whether that's traditional IRAs or Roth IRAs. Do you have those open? Are you maximizing those? Right? Do you have life insurance in place? Is there benefits that you will be getting at a certain age, or your beneficiaries? You have to ask all of these questions for yourself. And if you're not going to do it yourself, you need to go to a planner, because they can help you address these questions. That's what I do. You come to me and I help you figure out the plan. Because you can just say, I want to be wealthy. You could just say, I want to be a billionaire. You could say, I want to be able to retire at 40 or 50. You can say these things, but unless you have a plan to get there, they're just dreams. There's nothing in place to help you get to them. Make sure that you're keeping yourself on track. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't realize is that it takes time as well too. So important thing to figure out. And with the financial planning process, there's much more to it, right? You also have to figure out your debt. How much debt do you have? How much assets do you have? You have to figure out your net worth, because this is going to tell you a lot about your current situation as well. A lot of people have tons of debt but no assets, so you're already in a negative net worth. You're not in a positive net worth, and this is an important thing as well in the financial planning process. You need to be able to figure out where you are, and a lot of people have low net worths, right? So you have to figure out, okay, I have loans here, I have this credit card here, I have this mortgage here, I have this debt, I have this debt. Then you have to figure out assets, right? We've been talking about investment accounts. Do I have a house? Do I own this? Do I own that? And based off of those numbers, we're going to have your assets, we're going to subtract that by your liabilities, your debt, and figure out your net worth. So these are all of these questions, and there's so much more that goes into it, that you need to figure out where you are currently. Where do I want to go? And now how do I get there? What steps do I need to keep taking? Right? And if you're not, and it's okay, if it's going to be hard for you to keep yourself accountable, have somebody who helps keep you accountable. Trust me, it is worth the investment, because this is also an investment in yourself and also in your finances, to pay somebody to keep you accountable, especially if they're helping you reach the goal that you're trying to reach to, whether that's passing on your estate, whether that's being able to retire at this certain age, whether it's to build wealth here, whatever your goal is, to have your child be able to afford for your child to go to college, all of these things. Have somebody do it if you can't do it yourself. Just to emphasize again, it is important and is essential, and especially when we're younger, we think we have plenty of time. We have all the time in the world, right? We can push it off. No, it is important to start planning now. It is important to start planning at a younger age. When it comes to investing, the more time you have, the broader your time horizon, right? The more you can compound, the more you can get on your return, right? And it also takes less funding depending than if you were 50. Because if you were 50 and let's say you start investing at 25, right? You can afford to put up a little less because you have a wider period. You have a much longer time horizon than say if you were 50 and you're trying to retire at 65. Now you have 15 years, so you might have to double up. You're gonna have to put up a larger amount, and sometimes it's harder to still get the same amount of return as you would if you started at a younger age. Also, when we're younger, we also have a lot of debt. We're fresh. We don't have assets yet, right? So we have to be able to know where we are, and that goes back to knowing where you are net worth. We have to be able to pay off these debts so now we can build up our assets. That way we can build up our net worth. So, and a lot of times, we don't quite know where we're at when we're younger, right? We don't know how much we should be paying off on our loans each month, because that's something we should be doing right away. And not putting just the minimum amount. That is the trap. You want to able to put up more. And then also being able to fund these accounts, letting that, like I said, compounding take on for us, be able to work in our favor. So it's not just about being young. And I know because we think retiring retiring is such a long way to go. No, it takes being able to do that now. You don't wait, and it's like being sick, right? You don't wait till you're sick to try to eat healthy. What you want to do is eat healthy. You want to be about the prevention. You want to be there ahead of time so you don't get sick, not wait till you get sick to start trying to eat healthy. And the same goes with finances. You want to start early. Don't try to wait until the last minute, because it becomes so much more difficult, and it's not something you want to be able to do, to look and almost be time for you to retire and be like, wow, I can't retire. I'm gonna have to work through my retirement, for example. I'm using retirement goals as an example. So you want to be able to start when you're younger, and it's also not too late, right? A lot of people, oh my God, it just clicks for them in their 40s, 50s. It is not too late, but it is essential to have a plan in place, because you can't know where you're going. There's no blueprint without the financial plan. So, and that takes on in life. So, I'm gonna wrap it up here. And if you have any questions, or you're interested in financial planning, you're interested in portfolio management, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to set something up. I have my website that will be available in the description below. You can click on that and you can schedule an appointment with me. So until next time, y'all have a good one. I'm out.
Pray when it's time to ride, I never crash like Susie. Lyrics make you woozy, inspired by Juicy. The way to branch out is to kill all of these loose